Darren, you may begin.
Thanks, Josh. Welcome, everybody, to today's webinar. The topic is on a sometimes somber topic of cloud integration, but one that we're very excited about, and clearly a topic that's gotten a lot more attention as it's really being seen as the critical enabler of Salesforce and overall cloud application adoption and success. So I want to start by asking folks, we're going to go through a lot of content in today's webinar as well as an interactive demonstration. But what I find is there's always a real mix of people joining these kinds of presentations or listening to them as a recording. We want to remind you all to use the chat panels, send us your questions, interact with us if you are listening to us live today. So it's first important to do an audit of what you're integrating sales with today. Many organizations, they start out with a fairly vanilla, CRM or Force.com type of implementation, and they push out integration into some later stage. Seeing most success where organizations think about integration very early on in their Salesforce implementation. So stage one is bringing together data from a database, SQL Server, MySQL, what have you. It might be multiple databases you're bringing data in and out of for your implementation. Stage really thinking more about a process-centric integration with a financial application or an ERP, like an Oracle or a Salesforce or a SAP. So we're seeing a great deal of that. This is a key, really a critical part of making it Salesforce sticks, which is tying it to your back-end financials. And there's some real use cases there, opportunity to order being a main one, or bringing in billing data or booking information, and giving reps a single view within the CRM environment. And the last is kind of an increasing topic, a growing topic in very large organizations in particular, which is thinking about a more holistic, especially if you're moving towards a broader social enterprise strategy, is thinking about master data management and how you bring together the data from all these different systems and get that single view of your customers, your products, and what have you. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. And the goals of the presentation are to help you give to get you some clear understanding of the benefits of integration. We're going to learn from a case study from our partners at Mansa Systems, and we'll provide an overview of Informatica Cloud. Our friends at Mansa are going to be introducing a quick start package to help you get started with integration and as well as with Informatica Cloud as part of your Salesforce strategy. So let's jump in. The clear fact is we are moving towards a hybrid IT world, and I like this quote from her. And there's a lot of this. These analyst firms are really talking about this, over cloud adoption in organizations of all sizes. By 2016, half of all CIOs expect to operate the majority of their applications and infrastructure through cloud technologies. So this is really speaking to the need then to make sure you have the ability to integrate data, integrate all these applications together to avoid what's sometimes referred to as SaaS silos or SaaS sprawl. Yeah, an interesting point from, again, this is from Forrester, that integration has really kind of in the overall importance, and often it's seen as a barrier to cloud application adoption. So security is always the first question that IT organizations are going to ask. At the Gartner conference recently, and the analyst actually said some of the security questions are more about job security. Where people are throwing up barriers. We've seen at Informatica is security is more of a question than an objection. So definitely something that vendors need to be able to answer, but integration is really becoming the critical component to an all software as a service application strategy. We see 4 primary use cases every day at Informatica. The first is all about getting my data in to an application, migrating off of a legacy system. The second, then, keeping that data in sync with the other applications. And a common use case is I want to provide my users of my CRM environment a single view. I want to keep them in one system so they don't have the need to go to multiple places to get the information they need to be successful. Around data quality, so make sure it's a garbage in, garbage out situation. So making sure that the data that they're working with is trusted, is relevant, is timely, and is accurate. And lastly is replication. So I got data in, I've got it all synchronized, I've got a great productivity and great adoption of Salesforce, but need to get data out, maybe reporting. I want to bring it into my data warehouse for more cross-application analysis or historical reporting and dashboards. Maybe I want to bring it into my existing business intelligence environment. Maybe I'm using MicroStrategy or ClickDeck or some other technology for reporting and analysis. Or maybe just back it up for compliance reasons. So those are our primary use cases we see at Informatica. And before I hand over to Mansa and to the team to introduce themselves, I want to highlight what Informatica Cloud. So if you go to informaticacloud.com, you can sign up for a trial and you start it right away. And this is really because the service that we've been delivering for the last 7 years is all about simplicity, it's all rapid deployment, and it's all unification with the core Informatica market-leading technology. And Mark will show you some of these what it all means when we show our demonstration later in today's webinar. So we've got a lot of folks jumping in today, and I want to late to this presentation, so I do want to remind you to feel free to use the chat panels and ask us questions, and we'll make this as interactive as we can going forward. So just to wrap up my introduction, cloud integration is really a critical component of a social enterprise strategy, and we're working very, very closely with Salesforce. We're actually proud to say that we've been recognized 4 years in a row by Salesforce customers on the App Exchange as a top-rated data integration solution. So don't take my word for it. Definitely go out and try it yourself, and you can look at the App Exchange reviews for customer feedback. So we'll hand it over to Madison Cloutier to talk about Mansa systems, and then we'll share a case study of an account that they've been working on over the last few weeks and months.
Okay, thank you, Darren. I'm going to be talking about our Fast Track integration package here shortly, which is a package we have developed that allows you to quickly integrate Salesforce with other systems utilizing Informatica Cloud. But before getting into that, I just want to give a quick little background on Mansa systems. In addition to being a Informatica partner, we are also a Salesforce partner with competencies in cloud computing and data management. We currently have over 40 employees, including certified developers. And our headquarters is based in San Francisco. We're right next door to Salesforce, and we have development facilities in India, China, Costa Rica, and Colombia. We provide a range of services, all focused on Salesforce, implementations, integrations, customizations, and the like. We also developed the App Exchange apps, and you can go to the App Exchange to get a full list. We currently have 7 in total. And we focus on delivering on demand, on time, and on budget, and deliver solutions anywhere in the world, and do provide 24/7 support. And we use 3 basic delivery models: project-based, on demand, which is time and material, and we also have staffing services. We work with a number of different types of companies, large companies, enterprises, as well as mid and smaller companies. And we've done work in a lot of different industries, such as financial services, healthcare, and the like. And we've also done a lot of work with nonprofits as well as education. I'm going to be about our Fast Track integration package, but just to give a complete overview of our service offerings. As mentioned earlier, we do implementations, custom development, integration, best practices, and we do user and administration training. In addition to our Fast Track integration package, we also have a Fast Track implementation package, and this basically helps people that are just new to Salesforce get started with it. Typically in 1 to 2 weeks we can get you up and going, get your data migrated over, and have you up and running. We also provide remote admin and support services. This is a couple of different scenarios. One is for smaller companies that don't have or can't justify full-time Salesforce administrators. We can help out. Also, for larger companies that do have internal staff working on this, we can augment that staff with additional resources as needed or even expertise. And then do provide some Salesforce staffing augmentation services, both on a contract and permanent basis.
So clearly a lot of expertise in the Salesforce channel and certainly with Informatica Cloud as well.
And talking about the integration, which is as we're seeing more and more requests for integration, and one of the reasons we are partnering with Informatica on this. And the key benefits we see from the projects we've been doing is that people or companies get a 360-degree view of their customers by having all the information centralized in one place. And it's a trend I am observing is that Salesforce is becoming more kind of the platform of choice or the central information source for enterprises. And as these integrations take place and more information is available in Salesforce, that is increasing the adoption, the user adoption within the organization, because now people can go to one place to get all the information they need. And by working with Informatica, we can do rapid integration. Typically, in a couple of weeks, we can get a basic integration up and running with Salesforce and another system. Because it's cloud-based, there's no hardware or software, which makes that fairly easy, the installations. You'll see in the demo in a little while that Informatica Cloud, the visual modeling and mapping is very easy to use, and so ongoing maintenance very easy for people, as well as integration flexibility, where you schedule and monitor your Salesforce integration processes. Now, at this point, I'm going to turn it over to one of our Mansa consultants, Travis, who has some hands-on experience with doing integrations between Salesforce and other systems using Informatica Cloud. And I'm going to let Travis share some of his experience with you. So, Travis?
Yeah, Madison. Thank everyone attending today. We're going to go over what would be a fairly typical integration solution for a financial services company. This happens to be a wealth management firm, and they have approximately $5 billion in assets under management. And this firm had both Salesforce set up in their organization as well as Advent APX, which is a portfolio management system for those that aren't familiar with it, that does portfolio accounting and reporting for investment services for investment advisors. And the key issue that they had is that they were doing a lot of duplication of entry of data between the two systems. To keep up to date, there was a lot of time and energy that was spent putting data in on the Salesforce side, putting data on the Advent APX side, and there was a lot of data entry errors. There was a lot of issues trying to keep everything in sync and reconcile, and it was causing a lot of wasted time and staffing hours, as well as a lot of poor data quality between the two systems. So what we were able to work with them on is to create a synchronization to bring data from Salesforce into Advent APX, as well as to bring data back from Advent APX into Salesforce, and make sure that data was synchronized, and that data that got in on the Salesforce side coming down into Advent APX, where it could be stored and used but not updated. Same thing, data that was maintained on the Advent APX side, we could push back up in there. Another issue that they had is they didn't have a lot of visibility into some of the other data elements on the Salesforce side because of the effort that would have caused in their manual processing environment, such as portfolio market values, portfolio positions, etc. So, winning the service, we were able to automate their data synchronization process across these two systems. We've streamlined everything from that standpoint. We have data originates in the spot where it's supposed to. They can easily manage this, and it freed up a lot of time that they had. Excuse me, that they have to focus on client servicing efforts. Next, we can kind of take a look at the integration that we built out for them. So primarily, what we data flowing from Salesforce to Advent APX, clients or account data, financial accounts or portfolios, and then the relationships between those we have flowing down into Advent APX. So this includes a lot of demographic and other data that was gathered at the time of client onboarding in Salesforce. To pull that data down, upload it back into Advent APX using Informatica Cloud. And on the other side, we were pulling back. Once that data was loaded and synchronized, we pulled back key information about portfolios, holdings, and securities, and put it back into in Salesforce so that key development offers, client service, clients, personnel, et cetera, were able to see Advent data at a high level, so the view of the customer and what their holdings were and what their positions were on that side without having to toggle back and forth between the two systems. Again, we were able to implement this using Informatica Cloud, and we utilize and security process to pull files back and forth between the two platforms.
So I want to bring in Mark Murray for a minute. Mark, you're out. A lot of us working with clients all the time. I mean, how common is this type of use case? Anything unique that you're seeing here relative to other accounts you've been working with?
No, this is Mark Murray speaking, folks. It's a very common use case, and the architecture that Travis has put together is quite elegant, and he's taken advantage of using a staging area in addition to flow of data. Some customers might go directly from one system to another, but taking advantage of a staging approach, you can modify, maintain, and quality correct data too. So it's a very elegant and nice architecture that Mansa and Travis have put together.
Talk about the benefits, Travis, of this and kind of the typical benefits you see of this type of implementation.
I think one of the key benefits, obviously, is replacing manual data entry and data import, whether you're doing direct data entry or you're just exporting data and then manually importing it back into a system. It takes a lot of time and energy and can lead to mistakes. And putting that into an automated process, especially for this particular client, we were able to save hundreds of man-hours per year in time and energy that was spending trying to keep all this data in sync and reconciled, et cetera. The other key benefit, obviously, is that we have a synchronized view of clients across their enterprise application. So if I'm a back office operations person that needs to be able to see key compliance and other demographic data on a customer, I can see that on the Advent side because that's where I primarily work. For front office, business development, sales folks, partners, et cetera, that work primarily on the Salesforce side, they have a full view of the customer. They can not only have access to the data that they update in Salesforce, they also have access to Advent data such as holdings, market values, et cetera, that come through without having to toggle back and forth between different systems.
So let's come in, Travis, about the technology and how you use Informatica Cloud. Before you got up to speed and started using it, or even in general at Mansa Systems, did you have a lot of experience with Informatica's core Power Center products? Do your customers need to use Power Center? Are there some specifics around the implementation that you needed to that people should know about in that sense?
I thought most of the clients that we work typically find that Informatica Cloud is robust solution that will work for them. In a lot of the implementations that we do isn't really necessary to implement Power Center. Certainly, I'm sure some of the folks from Informatica, Mark or others might be able to provide some insight on when really the key breaking point is between when I want to use cloud services versus Power Center. But I haven't encountered any issues with any of the projects we've worked on so far where cloud services wasn't able to come up to and meet the needs of the customer. We've always found that they've been able to do that and do it well.
Comment on that, anything that you see customers in terms of that breaking point or that interoperability with Power Center? And for folks who don't know the core products, that is the name of the flagship on-premise technology that Informatica is so well known for in the market.
That's a great point. So there are two sides of the coin. One's a heavy-duty ETL tool that lets you a lot more than cloud can do. But you really need to be a heavy-duty designer. Multiple training courses. Informatica Cloud is designed for ease of use and doing the most common use cases, but the bridge between them. So if there is a point where you find you need to expand or scale a little bit, we have what's called a Platinum Edition that allows you to bring in more flex functionality and deploy in the cloud in a super easy to use way. So it's a very robust and flexible platform from a cloud perspective or the Power Center platform perspective.
Okay, we're going to show the architecture in a minute, so stay tuned, folks, and we'll talk about some of the questions that are coming in about what we call plugins and some of the tasks that you might need for some advanced functionality. But to wrap it up with you, Travis, on this particular implementation, are there some lessons learned? Are there some things folks on the call should be thinking about as they approach integration?
Yeah. Of course. I think that one of the key components is making sure that within your organization that you do have an integration super user within the organization who is able to accept knowledge transfer during the implementation process, understand how to use the tool, how it works, how the implementation was set up, so that there can be a clean handoff at the time that the project's over, and they're able to maintain and run with changes as well. The next key point is to really, you enter a project, make sure that you do a lot of thought around what's the best place for data to originate, in what platform, who's the data entry point, what's the best system for them to be able to use for that, so that you can have a clear vision of what data goes where and where it's going to move around in the organization. The point is to make sure that the key stakeholders within the organization have a say in how things are going to work. So that goes hand in hand with the point, in that you want to make sure that people know they're going to be working, what they're going to be doing, that they have a key in the process to make sure that the data, where they need it, when they need it, and how they need it. And I think that's the point. It's fairly obvious, but sometimes these things can spiral out of control if you let them. Don't try to fully replicate data across all these applications on every side. Rarely is it necessary to have every piece of data from one side visible on the other side. Sit down and go through what are the critical pieces of data that people need to do their jobs, and what's going to be most meaningful to them in the platform that they use, and work with just those pieces of information, as opposed to trying to just brute force piece of data across to have everything available. In these projects we worked on, this is kind of the key points that we try and work on with folks through a project, is to focus on these areas and make sure that to focus on these and lead to a successful project implementation and ongoing use.
Okay, so I'll come back to you guys in a minute. The Mansa team and Madison will talk about a quick start package we're offering specifically as part of this webinar today. But with that, Travis, I think that's a great time to kind of hand it over to Mark and have Mark take it to kind of the next level of a deep dive and walk through the Informatica cloud architecture, and then dive into kind of what this all looks like. And again, I want to remind people that you can ask questions, and we'll aim to get to them as Mark goes through it. So over.
All right,
Mark,
1 second.
mute.
Yep, you guys, give me 1 second.
Your screen. Yep.
Great. I have actually a quick presentation that we'll go over in just a few seconds. And today what we're going to do is implement some of the things that Travis did. We'll do a part of his implementation, and we'll kind of take what I call the 5-minute challenge. All right, so in 5 minutes, 5 minutes, we'll actually integrate financial information from an system into the Salesforce wealth management application. But first, take a look at the architecture and how elegant the architecture of Informatica Cloud is. So we wanted to actually start up Informatica Cloud. You'd log into our website and sign up for an account. And what happened was you load what's called the secure agent. And a few simple configuration steps, you'd be ready to go. And today what I'm going to do is work in the cloud. We'll be in Informatica Cloud, and we're going to build a task, and we're going to actually push the instructions to the secure agent that are behind your firewall. Now, this is extremely important because the data being processed and moved within the firewall and then out to some other application, but into Informatica Cloud. So, to example, we'll take financial data out of Oracle and we'll into Salesforce. All right, and we'll in probably 5 minutes or less. But the point I want to make here, it's a very elegant infrastructure. Data's not going to transfer to the Informatica cloud. It's only going to pass through the custom, the secure into the application. Now, before I leave this screen, it's not just an outbound tool to bring things to move externally and bring it back in internally. I can move data internally also. So it can be used as a general data integration tool. So maybe today I'm doing Salesforce integration. Tomorrow maybe I'm doing SQL Server to Oracle migration. So you can for a lot of other things. And since it's built on the Informatica core technology, leverage things that are in our Informatica platform to run in the cloud. So again, very elegant instruction. Today, this is from Travis's screen. We're going to take a look at loading client data, internal systems into Salesforce, and we'll take our financial account information and map up accounts that we loaded in. Do it in just a couple of minutes. Jump over to my browser, and you'll see I'm actually in Salesforce. This is the financial wealth management package that Salesforce offers. So what I'm going to do today for our clients, and I'm going to look for a specific client. I'm looking for a person. Right? It's a number for me, but they haven't been brought from the internal system yet. We make that happen. I put my salesperson hat on. Now I'm going to put my integration person's hat on. And what Informatica Cloud does very nicely is integrate in Salesforce. We integrate Salesforce data, but integrate into Salesforce. So let's say I have an integration tab, and I click and link right into Informatica Cloud. Now, there's many ways to get into Informatica Cloud. This is one. You don't have to be a Salesforce user, but just a nice integration flow for an integration developer working in my environment and being able to toggle back and forth. If we drop into Informatica Cloud, you'll notice that it's tab-driven, so it's extremely easy to navigate. There's tabs to help us do our work, and the first thing we see is home screen and our activity. And see that I've been working on my wealth management application this morning, different things. But what's important here is this is an activity log, so everything I do is performance information, it's the operational control. Every one of these tasks run, I was notified, or someone on my team was automatically notified via email of a success, a failure, or a warning. So very powerful. Plus, error information will pop up here too. So I have an error log that I actually look at to see what my data, what's wrong with my my integration. Monitor, so it's happening in real time. I'm also waiting for SAE docs to come through into Salesforce.org. Right, this is in live in real time waiting. I actually have a dashboard can measure some of the and quality of my Salesforce objects, and skip the other two for now. Primarily where we're at is in databases. And we'll show you first and you'll notice 11 pages of integration tests, all different scenarios. But scenario is we need to get some account information in. My user's waiting for those new accounts to come in. See how fast we can take that data from our internal financial system and bring that client respective information to that client so he can see it and work it with his ultimate client. So it's new, and we'll call our wealth management, we'll call it a client load. So step wizard, very easy. I can some descriptive information to tell me a little bit more about my task. Now I'm going to pick my operation. Today we'll pick an upsert. My next step is to sort the data. Now if you remember that secure agent, wherever that secure agent lives and I can see data, I can get to it. And we'll see in a list. I have quite a bit of accounts that I can connect from and reach data. And I'm going to my Oracle. And you'll note a bunch of Oracle source, a bunch of Salesforce. Whatever that agent can see, I can get to. Now, configure typical information that I can use to connect to my database. This can be down so I can't see it either. We'll get our object wealth management account data. We'll get a preview in a second. We can via multiple. We can do SQL pass-through. So very simple. we're going to put this data somewhere, and again, well, this is going to go to Salesforce. So we'll pick our web management Salesforce instance. Now, it's already reached across the internet, right, and grabbed that info, and we're going to count data. Put it already. We're going to filter, and new filter condition off our object, and we're going to look for our new counts. Anything that is a 1. So they our internal system, so if any new accounts. Now, rubber meets the road. I'm going to actually go into my mapping. A lot of my fields in my source system are automatically mapped because they're in the same or very close. Notice account number got mapped over. Let's actually clear it so you can see. So we'll clear and we'll auto match. I want to start rematch fields and bring a. Actually, go with this right now. We don't really have to change anything yet. And our next step, we're going to come back and do some modifications. Our next step is to automate it, to schedule. And you'll see here I can do not a schedule. I can run on a schedule that Darren's already built a number of them for me, or I can quickly create and pick the frequencies I want.
You're welcome.
Oh, sir. Next, maybe I'm going on vacation and I want to get Travis to watch jobs, and I can actually ask Travis to look for emails in case there's some kind of problem. I'm very flexible. And then options to do pre-commands and post-commands. Maybe I need to execute a stored procedure before I start a process. Maybe at the end I want to do an archive of my success files from Salesforce. Or you'll see some other Salesforce options. And one is create success file. The other one would be to use the bulk API. Now I'll give a quick story. The bulk API was just released this past week, so this is one of our tri-yearly upgrades. And one of our customers took advantage of it immediately. So Monday morning when he came to work, he took a job that took 4 hours to run using the standard API. And by clicking the button, his job went from 4 hours to 28 minutes. Amazing. So he's really, really hip on the new feature that we've added. So I've sourced, targeted, filtered it, mapped it, and scheduled it. Right, now let's save it. List, but we created a wealth management and to be our client load right here. So it's our Oracle ERP going into Salesforce, and let's kick it off. Run. And one of the cool things, we try to make help as easy as possible. If I support icon over here, you'll actually see a plethora of ways I can get help. I can open a support ticket within Informatica Cloud simply by clicking, and this goes to Informatica Help Desk. I can chat with a support specialist. I have some really cool YouTube videos to see how I've done things, Cloud Community, and our typical online hub. So let's see if our task ran. And our client load ran. All right, so we have one success row. We look for the change. Look to Salesforce. We'll go to our Jansen, I believe. And put up. So take a look at Patty. So if I didn't do transformation logic, I just loaded it straight. But take a look at address line information. Doesn't it, right? San Francisco's in mixed case, and the Main Street doesn't have a capital S. Well, I don't want the data to go out to my client that way on a letterhead or an email. Let's go fix it. But watch how fast we can go fix that. Like a cloud. To the control panel. Right desk. Right thing step. And then what if modify some of those add fields? So let's open up our add a function. So add a character function called cap. We'll add the first letter of every word. And nothing else. We'll validate our logic.
So Mark, there's functions there. Can you do that?
Absolutely. Let me just grab one more here. We have our billing street. Let's grab that one. We'll do, and they type it in. Very simple, right? So validate that. I go into my list of options. you'll see 150 different functions, the typical trim, add, all the things you'd expect, but they'll go through conversion functions, test functions, make functions, regular expression functions, if conditions, decode statements that are like case statements, and they can all be intertwined so you can make complex logic. Right?
While the UI is very simple and elegant, as you've said a few times, there's actually quite a bit of power, a lot of transformation power available a couple of clicks deeper.
Exactly. Not even using the logic that I can do, right? So I can do if conditions, or is nots, all that good stuff, and build out as logic as I need to. We'll add more on our billing country. We'll just make sure that we do an upper, right? And accident. So let's go find billing country, and okay. Desk. We'll jump back. We'll let that run in the background. One of the things I've done, too, is I've also loaded a client account number. That's critical. This is going to help me, my data, in a way that I can use my own internal data to link it together. So if I need child information, if I have financial account information, holding, anything, as long as I have these pieces of information, use my own data and Informatica Cloud to simply and easily bring it together. So let's get data in. I have a pre-built test, so let's go walk through it. So Informatica Cloud, we're going to go back to services, and wealth management already up, and what we do is look at our Oracle account load. Really, it's our account financial information. So a couple good points here. We can edit, we can cut this, we can delete it, we can download the mapping, export it, and then run it on in the world. For the Power Center users, I use Informatica Cloud as a starting point or a design area. I use that for my developers and then push it back into the on-premise world. I make the production instance and lock it down. And then we'll go and we'll walk through the process. So you get Wizard. I have an upsert. It's loading the financial account information and link it to the parent. My financial accounts on my financial instruments. Right, the same thing. You see the repetition, so it's very easy to use. And I'm going to link it to my proper parent account. Right, third, and then we'll map it. I've dragged the fields over, but I've done a couple of cool things. One I need to do is relate the information together. Right, so I've related objects button. I'm going to relate it to the account object so it gets linked. And I've already related that client account number. Simply, I just tell Cloud, Informatica Cloud, hey, look at this field. Whoops. Crazy there. And this itself is not on the record. Right, so that unique key is actually going to be made up of two components. So I source file to make source. I need a unique key, and I put it into my client object, but I don't on my child record or my financial record. So I built it. So what it comes is the financial account number plus the client. That becomes my unique ID, so I can update this record later on. Plus, I can link it. Pretty neat things that I can do. Cancel that because we already ran. We'll jump back home. We have wealth or account load that ran. All right, so it took seconds to run. We jump to cloud now. I will see my records as soon as I hit my F5 refresh. Now, is note that they are new information on my records. Let that in from my internal systems. But here I'm going to use the power of Salesforce to do auto roll-ups. When those records got loaded in, it's a cool auto roll-up. So when I'm out at my client and I have my iPad, I don't have to drill into anything. The information is right there. Right? That I don't have to do work. Info does it for me, right? And then Salesforce does it for me.
Hey, Mark, really focus on that synchronization use case of application integration between front office and back office. Can you really quickly give us an overview of the other services available in Informatica Cloud?
Absolutely, and that's a great turning point here. One of the things that we added in this next release too, so there's a couple of different things we can do. You still load data in, right? I really extract data out the same way, right, with the same service, and drive it into my internal system. So that would be in my data synchronization. But when we do these other services, there's also kind of offshoots. Let's go back into one of our objects here. We'll go to our client. Oops, the account load here. Schedule task. You'll notice there's a couple options here. I looked at do not run this task, run it, but also this thing called run this task in real time upon receiving an outbound message from Salesforce. This way that I build a task in Informatica Cloud, and by like a regular task, say it's going to source Salesforce and it's going to target my Oracle database, I can click a button, iterate an endpoint URL, and then I jump in Salesforce. All right? We go to setup so you can see what I can do. We'll go to outbound messages. All right, and outbound message. Let's get rid of there. Really create a new outbound message on, say I want it on my financial account object. That condition, and then paste that endpoint URL in. I didn't have it there, but paste endpoint URL in, and voila, I'm done. Addition, and then I have real-time integration via my sync task. Easy to do, and we've got some feedback from our clients in this from this latest release. So, cool stuff. Now, services that we can look at. Let's cancel out. We'll jump back to Infra Cloud. You'll note I'm in data services, synchronization. We've introduced a contact validation, and this really will walk you through validating any postal data across the world. It says contact validation. It's really a misnomer. It's any kind of people data that has addresses in it, and it's really, really easy. So let's do a quick new.
So don't forget email as well, Mark. So it's got both pull and email address information.
Say our wealth management AV. Okay, right? If I can. And you'll, as Darren just mentioned, validate postal addresses, valid geocodes, and then I can validate an email, make sure it's a valid email. And because wealth management, you know what? I don't want, and you'll notice in a lot of wealth management databases is the do not call. So phone number from the do not call registry. So the other wizard, it's the synchronization, the 6-step wizard. It's the same. So let's go to our management Salesforce. We'll go to account, which is client object. Skip the filtering for now. And then I get to pick validation fields. So I have different flags to work with. Notice how data is really nicely configured. It's city, state, postal code. Well, I could do too, right? There's my city, state, postal code. I have print variations depending on what my source data looks like. So I can have discrete where it's a lot more information. I can have hybrid that we just pointed, and I could start to just bring in my state, easy, postal code, country billing street, and we have country. I put the country in the wrong place. But the idea is that's so easy to, and depending on the format, right, I can change it that easily. And we output file. We can pick fields we want to bring, you know, maybe the original information on. Let's actually get the original. Now let's have that, so we can put whatever information we want. We can select where it's going to go to, and we can say this will be our demo files out. We can now, so this will be good. I can add to it, and then I can automatically create a secondary file of wealth management. Let's go to text. And address are invalid or verified. And then, of course, schedule it. So validate my addresses. And then I can make that part of another process and bring that right back into Salesforce and get the secondary addresses that failed and have somebody analyze them and find out what's wrong with them. We also have patient service. Now, how often do you put data into Salesforce and it kind of gets locked in there? Well, patient service allows me to pull that data out without being a DBA. is a 5-step wizard. And Aaron, do I have time to do a 3-minute demo of the replication service?
Yeah, let's do just a couple minutes. Yeah.
Good. So 3 minutes or less. I'm going to do a here company. So go back for 1 second. So you can see I'm not going to be cheating. We're going to go task we built. Source. You're going to list, this is my Oracle database, and then here are the tables. Database. Replicate service is going to actually create the tables for us, changes, and maintain the metadata itself. So there's no notice in here. There's no tables for BC for Dan Cunningham, my buddy, and we're going to let Informatica Cloud create them for us. So we're going to cancel application, new, wealth management, backup. Folks at BI World want data fresh for them to work with. So I step with Wizard, pick our wealth management infrastructure. Now here I'm going to select some objects. We're going to pick one object we loaded. We'll pick the wealth management. That would be the financial. Notice that's custom object and a standard object. Doesn't to us. We're going to pick those two. Where to? We're going to push it into our Oracle ERP pin. I'm going to pre this with now exclude fields. I can filter the data if I want and schedule it. Most customers do 1, 2, and 5. All right, so at this point, I save. And then here's our wealth BI backup. And we'll kick that off. Now, what I jump back into it, what I didn't, which is super important, is on my incremental load. Super important. So right now, as we speak, it's running and saying, hey, I never ran before. Go create tables in that Oracle database. Great. Now I can get all the data. Beautiful. The second it runs, it's going to say, wait a second, you ran before. To see it changed. Hey, did add a new column in the system for that client? Yep, did. Okay. Modify target Oracle database and add that new column name into the database. Great. Now go back and get the changes since last time you ran. So live in those 6 clicks that I did, create database, load data, modify table if it needs to be, and go back and get changes. So let's go to our home. Did our backup. Let's take a look. It took 15 seconds. It created an account and the final table. If we into our client load and look at source, there should be DCs in here. There's a DC account that we just populated or we just worked with. DC data automatically. And then our is, we go back to our replication. We again. It's doing a second step and saying, hey, change. Okay, field. Great. I can get only the changes. And since I didn't change anything, we should see 0 and 0 come up. But yeah, I have to go into the database land. I didn't know anything about Salesforce. Informatica Cloud did it all for me. All right, and they found no changes.
So, Mark, I think we need to, I want to wrap up and bring back in the Mansa team to talk about a quick start offering. So if we can just go back and make me the presenter. But that was a fantastic demonstration and overview. There's on the Informatica Cloud website, we have all kinds of different resources. Mark's featured in a number of demonstrations. And I like what you mentioned about the analyst role. I mean, we're seeing, particularly with that data replication use case, there's a great case study on our website about ADP, and the main user is a business analyst who's really focused on bringing the data out of Salesforce into an analytics environment and delivering analytical insight to the business. So thanks for the demonstration, Mark. And just so we'll jump through these. This is your. Let's back Madison to give us a quick summary of the quick start package that you guys are making available to Salesforce customers.
Okay, thank you, Darren, and thank you, Mark and Travis. That was really good. I hope everybody now has a real good feeling for how powerful and easy the Informatica Cloud product is. And thanks to Travis, you have a little bit better idea of some things to consider when embarking on a integration project. project. Due to popular demand here at Mansa Systems, we have put together what we call our Fast Track Integration Package. This is to help companies that want to kind of get things up and going fairly quickly, particularly integrating Salesforce with some other system. We do use the Informatica cloud platform. That's kind of our secret here. And it allows us to deliver a solution in typically under 2 weeks, including up to 3 to 4 integration points or processes. And this is intended for small and medium-sized projects. So this is a quick way to get things up and going. Basically what we'll do is we'll come in, work with your team to gather the requirements regarding for your integration. We'll prepare an integration design document that will define the data mapping to be done, the transformations, the integration processes, and the like. We'll actually get all that set up and working for you, and then we'll actually train your appointed staff on the Informatica Cloud data synchronization services and the specific integration points that we have set up for you. So this is a way to kind of quickly get things set up and get working, and then kind of take it from there. And it helps you with any kind of business problems you have, allowing you to synchronize data between existing systems you have which currently are not integrated, and helps you with better do your business processes. So for more information regarding that, I think there's a URL next.
Yep, there's the URL.
That get some more information and contact us, and we'll be happy to talk with you. And guess Darren, you got the things you want to wrap up there?
Yeah, and you know what? Thanks, Madison. That's great, and thanks, Travis, for that overview of the wealth management case study. I want just to highlight a couple of things, and then we are getting some questions coming in for Mark, and you know, some follow-up discussions that we want to have. So first and foremost, visit informaticacloud.com and try it for yourself. You know, get started, register for a trial. I mean, this is a true multi-tenant software as a service integration solution. So such, it means you can go to our website, register for a trial, and get up and running in minutes, literally. So definitely do that as a call to action from today's presentation. And for the contacts of today's presenters, some of you have expressed interest in reaching out to us. There's been some good questions that just came in the last minute about data replication and you know, the ability to the users of Informatica Cloud. That one. There's a question here from Kathy who's asking, even though you don't have to be a DBA, don't you still need them to partition area on the database server for the database to be created when you were data replication? So we're going to suggest that you do not need IT in an implementation of Informatica Cloud. It's more about the usability and who the end users can be of integration service. Mark or Travis or Madison, if you want to talk to the typical people you work with on an implementation. Want to go first, Mark?
Yes. My experience, it's across the board. I've worked with IT, you know, anywhere from a business liaison all the way to an SVP of an IT group. So I can really go across the gamut. The question that one person raised, yeah, it can be a concern for some shops, but most times they'll provision the ID for this use because of the ROI. What tool you're thinking about using? In my case, that was simple. It was 2 tasks. But the buck is I don't have to change anything. When a field changes in Salesforce, it's automatically in my system, so my BI or my backup group has that information already. But when it goes to 20 tables and 30 tables, I starts to go, well, wow, that's not 20 mappings I have to maintain plus change data information. It's one task. So that all becomes huge. And then sometimes that does break down the barrier with IT about giving you access to do that. The side is we've had that, you know, IT shops that own Informatica on-premise, but own replication service because of the power of it. Kind of a hybrid people approach too.
Any comments from you guys, Travis and Madison, in terms of the folks involved in implementation?
I think you know, we've definitely had a mix of folks. A lot of depends on, especially in the wealth management, there can be quite a breadth of size of the firm that's involved, and so sometimes in some instances they have dedicated IT staff that are involved, whether they're DBAs or not is not necessarily the case, but where those folks are involved in the process. And in some instances, a small shop that really can't afford that, and they have a person that's assigned. And oftentimes with a smaller shop, the needs are more aren't as many in a smaller wealth management shop. So some of the simple implementations, like the example that we gave, fairly simply with someone who doesn't have a vast IT background, but that does have enough experience and knowledge to be able to navigate around and do configurations. Someone who typically that's often someone who's also a Salesforce administrator in the organization and is familiar with setting things up on the Salesforce side, usually gives them enough background and knowledge base to be able to also work with the integrations.
Well, with that, everybody, thanks for the flurry of questions that came in on the end. I think that that replication demo in particular really got some ideas going from the audience. So great participation, really good attendance. So clearly, integration continues to be a very hot topic and very relevant for Salesforce success, as well as overall cloud application and platform success. So Informatica Cloud, as we mentioned earlier, we have been recognized 4 years in a row as the #1 integration solution for Salesforce customers on the App Exchange. We're really proud of our customer success, and we want to recommend that you visit informaticacloud.com to learn more and get started with a trial. So thanks for joining, and we look forward to working with you.
Thanks for joining us today. This concludes today's web conference. You may now disconnect.